Steven Escobar, and you're listening to The Movie Raid.
It's time for The Movie Raid, and tonight's victim is director Steven Escobar that is currently on Xenophobia. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Fantastic, man. So tell us a little bit about this film. Now, this is an anthology type of film, isn't it? A little bit of a sci-fi and horror at the same time?
That's correct. Xenophobia was actually conceived by my partner Joe Castro 20 years ago when he was making a pictorial calendar. When I met him, he had taken shots of aliens that he made and turned them into a calendar that he wanted to create. And at the time, I had a computer, so I took my Photoshop skills and create this calendar that we were trying to sell to Barnes & Noble and places like that. But we decided that, we never got it released. So instead, we decided we wanted to make a film about it. So 20 years later, we came together, he and I and the third director, Thomas Churchill, and decided to turn this idea into a feature film. And that's what Xenophobia has come from.
That's very cool. And by the way, Jason Brooks from Friday the 13th Vision says hello.
Oh, great.
What's up, Jason? Hello, buddy. And so...
How's it going, Jason?
Yeah, awesome guy, man. Awesome team. With this film, how do you carry, and divide fear to the audience with several different segments in this type of film? I mean, it's not that easy to do. I know that.
Right. Well, the idea was we wanted to kind of have an homage to the 1980s films and a little bit of the 1950s science fiction films. So to do that, we had to create practical aliens. So Joe, with his special effects wizardry, he made 7 different aliens for the film that we decided basically do like an old practical effect movie. So there was a minimal CGI, and CGI was just basically, to just kind of introduce segments and stuff like that. But the majority of the film, the aliens are all practical, and that's kind of how we've taken that scary element, that scary alien abduction element, and put it into the film. And I think we did a really good job, or Joe did a really good job of doing that for the film.
Honestly, man, from seeing that trailer, I think the aliens look really awesome because it reminds me a little bit like Hellraiser twisted version, a little bit, and it looks real to me because if it was CGI completely, I just could not really believe it. I couldn't take it in. I couldn't accept it because it looked fake. But this, I like the detail of the work, and I think it definitely does show this is Joe Castro's work for sure.
Yeah, and this kind of goes back to his roots. That's kind of where he started. Given an opportunity to really create something different, something that people hadn't seen, and along with me and Thomas helping write the film with Joe, I think we created 3 unique stories that kind of tie together with a group of people that have been abducted through their alien experiences, and that's what we get to see in the film.
Now, do you think this is almost kind of re-revolutionized this particular method? Now, this type of method, anthology, is kind of a very low-key, very underrated, and it almost seems like a dying breed because you don't really see a tremendous amount of these. Now, sure, you see dramatic versions of this, but a lot of times either the flavor doesn't really taste very well because it doesn't match up, or just all kinds of things there, but it's not there at the same time.
Right, and I think a lot of times when motion pictures, I think just in the 80s and 90s, they took really just one story and kind of spread it out into a 90-minute or 2-hour movie. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to be different stories that people could watch and kind of be taken back by the stories that you do hear, but you never really you picture them in your head, but you also want to see them on screen. And so we try to do that. After doing some of the research, we have found out that we're actually the first science fiction alien abduction anthology film that's ever been done, because everybody else has done science fiction films like The Twilight Zone, but there's never been an actual alien abduction anthology film. I think that we hope to be the first to create that trend, and if other people decide to do that, then that's something that we'd like to be trendsetters.
Would you say this also kind of reinvents a different identity as an alien in this type of genre for this film as well? Because there's a lot of films out there, a lot of sci-fi films that involve aliens. So yeah, they're scary, they're creepy. They really have just one objective, straightforward. It's not exactly as scary, but it's a thriller, but doesn't really put the oomph in terms of fear.
Right. I think with our film, we kind of give a little bit of both. We give you a little bit of the thriller, but we also have some scary elements where they're abducting them and they're the typical, you're in our spaceship, we're going to probe you. We don't really show that, but we kind of give enough so the audience can kind of take their own fear into it. I think with this film, film, what Xenophobia is giving you is the sound effects and the sound is giving you more of an insight as to what these people are hearing and what they're feeling at the time. We're hoping that kind of translates to when the audience actually sees it, so you kind of get a whole sensory experience watching and hearing and feeling.
Do you think the audience will fully accept this particular type of story and be less subjective towards its actual plot and its entirety?
There'll be some skeptics. Not everyone believes in aliens. But what I do know is there actually is a real, I guess, kind of like a group of alien abduction, like people that have been abducted. There really is one somewhere up in Northern California. And it's actually been on like those alien abduction TV series on the Science Channel and Discovery, and there is one that exists up there that they get together and they talk about their experience. So it's kind of loosely based on like an anonymous group, and they come together and they speak about it, and that's kind of what we wanted to do. So there are some people that are going to say, oh, it doesn't make any sense. There's going to be some people that say, we love it because I believe in aliens, and, everybody's going to take something from it. But if they're talking about it, then they must believe in aliens, don't you think?
You think it's best less fantasy and more about internal fear of actual from humans themselves?
Xenophobia actually means the fear of aliens. So, xeno meaning alien, I guess. In today's age, xenophobia is kind of a word that's being used out there in politics and government, that kind of thing. But we're taking that as the science fiction, area, which is aliens from other planets and stuff. So, yeah, I guess these people can take it easy, however they want.
Yeah, sometimes when you mix with that, I think it's best when you get into the audience head, because, like I said, xenophobia, the fear of aliens, or the fear of clowns, or the fear of spiders, look at arachnophobia and stuff like that, or anything like that in general. You're going to scare the crap out of someone when you put that in that title. But at the same time, you got to present that and try to present yourself almost as an own presentation to here. This is what you're going to be fearing for the next millennium.
Right, and I think the movie sets it up to kind of we don't know if these aliens, if there are any, are going to come here to Earth and us out. I mean, the movies that do that and have actually presented that idea, we try to present it in the sense of these alien abductees, and whether you're scared of them or not, I think we present it in an entertaining way.
You think it's best less reality and more science fiction for the story in terms of to telling the story itself?
Yeah, I think there's suspended reality. I mean, the reality is that these people believe that they were abducted. I think the suspended reality is, do these aliens actually exist? And it's up to the audience to kind of go with it and let yourself go for this ride that we presented.
You think sometimes it's going simple makes a whole different ball game, a whole different structure of a story by just going a simple route, but actually structuring around it to make it a whole different entity?
I think I think that's you can simplify a story, and you just have situations and stuff that kind of take you through that route. You simplify by saying simplify this whole movie is these aliens that exist on Earth somewhere. I mean, people believe that there are aliens on Earth already. So we simplified that by saying, where are these aliens coming from, or how many different species are there? That's kind of how we presented it.
And what I like about it is, like, mystery is always good, but also when you see horror / sci-fi type films, especially that involves aliens, oftentimes they're pretty well exaggerated, and sometimes it's to the point where you got to have some kind of a belief in it in order to sell it. Because to me, I want to be thrilled. I want to know, where do these guys come from, or keep me guessing every time, keep the audience guessing every time with this type of film.
Well, we don't know where these people come from yet. We're just kind of getting to know that they actually exist, and these people are coming together to talk about their experience and kind of coming up with their own ideas, and they're creating fear within themselves because they don't really know if one of them may or may not be part of that race. So it's kind of like not knowing whether the person next to you is a cop or are they undercover, that kind of thing. So,
well, it sounds pretty interesting the way how it's played out. It sounds like, okay, here's a group of people that no one knows who's what profession, where they come from, what state they come from, what kind of background they actually come from, or if they're actual people at all. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me from based on just these trailers. Like, the aliens, it almost seems like almost a foreground, because you're focusing on the group. It's like, okay, what's happening with these guys? And then the aliens on top of it just makes it a heightened sense of, okay, what's going to happen now?
Right, and it's like that's, without giving enough anything away, I mean, that's kind of your journey. You're watching this journey of these people, and it's up to the audience to kind of guess who's what, and kind of letting yourself go and letting yourself be entertained.
Now, having to get this out there in terms of other markets, how do you feel that this might actually be on a Sci-Fi Channel or other networks? Do you think this is more profitable for yourself?
Well, our distributor, Vision Films, right now it was just released on August 6th, this Tuesday, and it's in the U.S. and Canada. In the next couple months, we're planning to release it internationally. After that, there will probably be a point where it'll probably be on either Sci-Fi, Showtime, or HBO. So that's kind of like our intended target, probably in the next couple months, in the long run, after we've had our international, releases.
Well, that sounds pretty cool. And not only that, you've not just directed one segment, but you have several other directors who have done other segments. Can you name those guys as well?
Yeah, well, of course, Joe Castro, like I mentioned, he directed on one of the stories. There's 3 stories in the film, and each one of us directed one. Joe directs the first story. I directed the opening scene and co-directed with Joe on the second story, and then I also directed the wraparounds, which are the story of the group. And Thomas J. Churchill directed the third story. We basically came together and wrote our scripts separately, several meetings, and we were basically reading the scripts to each other and deciding giving input on every story. And once we started filming this movie in 11 days over last summer, the summer of 2018, we filmed all this. Then once we were done with the 3 stories, that's when we started putting together the opening scene, and we shot that up in the Toronto Pinnacles, up in the Mojave Desert. The Toronto Pinnacles is actually a location that Planet of the Apes was filmed back in the 60s, and it's also shot many, many other films there. So we went up there to film this opening scene because, like, everybody, when they picture alien abduction, they always think of the desert. So we wanted to start off with something that was very familiar with the audience, and we did that. And then once we filmed that, we wrote the story that was going to combine all 3 stories together, and that was the wraparound, and then we filmed that.
That's pretty cool, man, because I'm glad that you mentioned about a familiar territory, because if you were to do this somewhere completely different, somewhere outwardly, at the same time, it's like, well, you're kind of not selling it because, you know, it is an alien film, but then you're gonna end up falling in a category, let's say, like Aliens or Alien vs. Predator or half a dozen other films that's been out there, and you're going to be categorized under that area, and I can see that you're trying to separate yourselves from everybody else.
Yeah, and basically this film, we've taken elements that we've seen from other films that we like, and we've kind of integrated them into this film with our unique twist and plot points. Anyone who's ever been a fan of Close Encounters, or I can't think of some of the films in the 90s that are any science fiction film that talks about aliens or alien abduction or aliens coming from other planets to Earth. That's kind of what we created here. And so it's like I said, it's a montage of ideas from that, but we've created our own little twist.
Can we expect this on DVD and other places physically, like the big retail places as well?
Yeah, right now you can get it on Amazon, on DVD and video on demand. You can also go to Walmart. I know Walmart's going to be having them on their shelves, if not already. I believe that Best Buy is also a place you can go and get the DVD. And then you can order it online as well. I think eBay will be carrying it, and a couple of other platforms that are like Discount DVD. You can just kind of do a Google search, and you'll find where you can actually order the film, and you can actually get a physical DVD. Or if you prefer, you can get it on iTunes, any cable outlet, video on demand, any place that you watch all your other movies. You can certainly get it digital download.
Well, that's very cool, man. Can you give us any other promotional links that you would like to shell out there for us to check out right now, including Joe Castro's work?
Yeah, we made a film in 2016 that is still available on iTunes called Terror Tunes 3. We started the franchise back in 2001, and it's about killer cartoons that come to life and kill people in cartoon ways. We're now working on part 4, which we hope to have it done by the end of the year, and hopefully by next year will be another part on iTunes as well, on Amazon. But if you check it out, you can check out Terror Tunes 3 on iTunes, and you can also check it out on Amazon. We also made a movie back in 2012 called The Summer Massacre, and that movie is another anthology, which is a horror anthology, and that movie actually holds the Guinness World Record for the highest body count in a slasher film. And we have 155 kills on screen. So if you want to check out pretty much a death a minute, you can check it out. It's on Amazon. Check it out on there. A couple of other movies that we're planning to re-release on Amazon as well. And we'll let everyone know when we're ready.
Very cool, man. So that is director Steven Escobar.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you having me, Mike. And I wish that everybody can check out Xenophobia.